right. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. We are good to go. We've got Applechips at the bottom of your screen. We've got the Overmaster at the top of your screen. We've got two of the best players in the game starting off. And look at this hand. We've got triple auto tread, power cell into Temple Raider. I love it. I love this hand.
Yeah, that hand looks pretty sick. Theo looking currently at a second 7 with 4 power, a Shoal Dredger, a Shoal Stirrings, and Ascendant Agent. Um, I think I don't know if they go to 6 or not. I don't know. I haven't played their deck enough to know. I guess they're gonna go to 6. All right.
Yeah, that's tough. They're going to go to 6, see 3 power, a near perfect imitation, Master Cartographer, second copy of near perfect imitation. But Applechips on the play with their deck. They got to love that. Here comes that auto tread to start things off. Blink and you might miss
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I mean, as far as moles to 6, I I don't think Theo got a bad one. Um, the issue though is that I think with Applechips draw, and them being able to just auto tread away Theo's blockers, that could be a problem.
All right,
Their
playing out that.
sequencing is their sequencing's a little bit slow here, and we're gonna see if they are gonna have enough time to develop their board.
Beautiful curve here for Applechips. Also just hit a Volk and a Fort Smasher in addition to the Temple Raider. So yeah, your choice of 3 drops here too.
Yeah,
And if they
Chips
don't
is
have
looking.
the power, they still have the power burst from the power cell. So even if
Yeah,
they miss on the 3rd power, they can still deploy a threat this next turn.
yeah, absolutely.
Deciding what to do here. No surprise going with the power burst. Deploy that 3 drop when you can. And they're going to go Volk first over Fort Smasher. Do you like that? Which is the first 3 drop? Do you go Fort Smasher first or Volk first?
I with this hand, I think I might have gone Fort Smasher first, but I don't think it matters a ton. Like I think both are good. Um, Fort Smasher just because I'd want to get in with the attack sooner rather than later. But either way, like this Volk is very, very good. So you know, it'll work out well for Applechips either way, I think. So Theo going for an express route here from their market. They don't have any time sources yet, but I imagine they're doing this, speculating. Hopefully that they'll find one, so they can do that.
Absolutely. And then given regen to the back alley delinquent here. Right, and then power there for Applechips to deploy a second 3 drop. This is like the perfect hand.
It's so much pressure. Yeah, they're it was really good that Chips found that third power right there to be able to, you know, send in this charging 4/4.
All right, send an agent off the top, but again, no time for Theo, so they can't really do anything about that. And a master cartographer into another master cartographer. Um,
I mean, Theo's running out of time both literally and figuratively. They don't have time sources, and Applechips is applying a ton of pressure.
nice.
So, yep, they're gonna need lots of time in order to get back into this game.
Absolutely. All right. Well, they can go for another master cartographer, or they just go for the regen delinquent. Yeah, that's what I think they're going to do here. They're going to go for the delinquent. That's a 2/4 quick draw since it got the +1/+1 with regen. Um, but the regen is shut
That's,
off by the auto tread, so it's actually not really relevant on this board anyway.
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, by making this play, they're making it potentially a little bit harder for them to be able to cast an express route next turn. Just if they'd played the cartographer, they would have gone one card deeper, but they also wouldn't have had this good blocker.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to matter anyways because Applechips is going to grow their board to a point that it's they're just going to be able to attack through it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gonna have to jump either way. Auto tread would have picked off
Mhm.
the 2-1, but like you said, Applechips just pitching hands to gonna get through it anyway and put Theo down to 3 with 3 lethal units on board and another one to follow it up. I'm not sure there's anything Overmaster can draw here to even get out of this.
Yeah, looks like that's it to me. Yeah, and there's that time source just a little too late.
Just in time there. Not, not quite enough.
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
Yeah, I guess you could Cartographer to see if you draw something else. Cartographer is not even a real blocker though, because Auto Tread can just pitch to it. There you go, Theo. Just gonna take a look at the hand here, see see nothing, and they're going to toss it in. So Applechips going to take game one fairly quickly. I don't really. I mean, Theo was stuck on power, and Applechips just sort of had the perfect draw there on the play. So that one I feel like was written by the opening hands. That script was written already.
Yeah, I mean, Applechips was able to, convert a super proactive start into a victory. Theo kind of, wasn't doing enough early in the game and fell behind pretty quickly.
Absolutely. So they're getting ready for their game two. The deck lists are available now, so if you haven't had a chance to see the deck list, that was locked at the start of the event to make sure we got everybody's deck list in there, but you should be able to use that. You can just do ! deck list in here, and that will give you a look at what everyone in the tournament's playing. All right, so we're getting started here. Game two, Applechips on the play again. Unfortunately, we cannot control the play draw, but Applechips going to deploy out a Phoenix Stone to start things off.
Interesting to note, Applechips, it looks like they did change their list somewhat from last week. They're running, I think that's Bastion Gatekeeper. I don't recall
Yeah,
that being in their other lists.
I don't
Interesting. It's a
believe it
Sentinel.
was.
The Sentinel has Plunder. It's a 3/1. It's really good with controlled demolition. It's just like, a really, really fast clock.
Yeah.
But it does require significant power investment. So it'll be interesting to see how that does. So they actually plunder away the controlled demolition instead of opting to, they want to play out all their 3 drops.
Draft all-star right there. I love me a gatekeeper in draft.
Yeah. Fortunately here, it's not going to be able to attack through this Darkwater Vines with regen. That's exactly what Theo wanted here.
Yeah, nice shoal dredger there off the
Very
top.
good. Yeah, that's pretty ideal. I mean, they were going to be able to discard a card anyways, but that makes it nice because now they can play Hourglass too. Otherwise, they would have had to play Delinquent first if they wanted to trigger the Vines right away.
Power cell off the top for Applechips. That's fine. It actually lets you deploy out 2 threats if you want to go power cell relay point. I'm not sure that's the best play, but it's something.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume they'll play a 3rd drop just considering that like they can't really attack with the X1 anyway, with the 1X anyways. Oh, they are going to attack with it. Interesting. I was not expecting that. I'll say that. What are they Are they bluffing control demolition maybe? That's interesting. I mean, I think Theo would be fine if that's what they had.
Yeah.
So I would expect that Theo just takes this jump attack right here and go ahead and eat the gatekeeper.
You can see him thinking about it.
Oh, interesting. Maybe they're worried about like blazing salvo. I think I would be fine with that anyways. Yeah. So they're gonna take that. It does mean that Fort Smasher connects, so maybe that's why Chips made the play.
Yeah.
So that actually makes some sense.
All right, and that Hourglass doing work here. Theo hit their
Mhm.
power every single turn.
Yeah, Hourglass is really like helping Theo develop their power, which is going to be really important here for having a making a big board. So they can discard Urid,
Yep.
they can Sabo. Let's see if they are able to play the Shadow Sigil from their Void next turn or draw an undepleted power, then they can Shoal Strings to get back Urid, and if they want either Vinegrafter or Shoal Dredger. So that's pretty exciting. They're able to
Going.
get there.
Gonna pitch that shoal dredger for a second copy of Sabotage. Chips just gonna play out their Temple Raider. Applechips gonna go aggressive here, but Theo just gonna do some blocking. Actually, can actually trade with one of these
Hmm.
because of the
Yeah,
double
but
block.
they're also chumping the other one, which I think makes sense, but it's also kind of unfortunate because that was kind of their whole board. So it looks like Theo didn't get the undepleted power, so they're gonna have to wait another turn for Shoal Stirrings. But in the meantime, they got another Vines. They can sabotage away Chips's relay point, and they can trigger the Vines, which means let's see what they got in their Void. So no new Mandrakes. So it would still just be a Urid plus either a Grafter or Shoal Dredger. I think that's still pretty good.
It
Flash
is
Fry is a great
yeah, one of
answer
those
there.
new
Yeah.
ones. Flash Fire, one of those sweet new cards from Buried Memories. 2 power, deal 3 damage to a unit, give it Voidbound, and it doesn't care about regen, and is a fast spell. So, pretty nice one there. Shout
Yeah,
out to
Theo.
TV Scruffy. Thank you for finding us in the new Bendix Discord. I'll talk about that at one of the breaks, but glad to see you here. All right, Theo
Yeah,
down to
Theo making that.
14.
Yeah, they made the heads up block there of blocking the 3/3 instead of the 4/4. They took an extra damage, but they prevented the Fort Smasher trigger. Now they're going to be able to shoal strings and make two big units. Chips has the Phoenix Stone as a flyer,
Yeah,
but Theo has a send an agent to answer it on another turn.
another turn.
So
Yeah, so this can do 4. So this transforms into a 4/4 flyer with charge, and then it turns back into the stone at the end of the turn. It's a nice combo, or it's a nice synergy with Volk to be able to get a unit that is also a relic. There's a nice synergy there, but if Chips is priced into just doing 4 a turn in the air, Theo's probably pretty happy with that.
mm,
8/8 and a 7/6 on the board here. But
yeah, I would
Apple
imagine.
Chips came to attack, not to not to do anything else today.
hmm The block that Theo is making currently is gives Applechips a little bit more discretion if, say, they had a controlled demolition in their hand.
Yeah,
If they block the other way, that means that that would force Theo to, if they want to use it, they would have, if they want to get rid of the unit, they would have to target the Temple Raider. It doesn't really matter because Chips drew a blank. Theo's going to be able to just kind of do whatever they want this turn.
yeah, and as you mentioned, Theo has that send an agent in hand. So if Apple Chips wants to fire this up again and attack, Theo has the answer for that. It could also just kill the relic too, I guess.
Also, these now have flying and endurance,
Well,
so
yep.
I don't think the Phoenix Stone is going to be doing very much.
Yeah, flying endurance. That's gonna make that tough too. Is there anything in the market that Chips can get? Edict, siege provisions, slag.
Edict isn't nothing, but let's see. They don't have enough power to play Edict and activate Phoenix Stone. Um, yeah, see, that's what the things about Phoenix Stone that's can be frustrating is that it requires a power investment every single turn. It's not always going to
Yeah.
apply the pressure you want it to if you also want to make other plays in a given turn.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was a pretty impressive showing by Theo this game because Apple Chips didn't have a bad draw. It was a little bit awkward, but it wasn't bad. But Theo was able to stabilize fairly easily and take this game with their big big Xenon units, shadow units. So Theo going to take
Yep.
that one, and they're going to tie it up to 1 game apiece. Remember, these are all best of 3. Apple Chips, that's unfortunate for Apple Chips. Game 2 had on the play again, but not able to take that one. So sigh of relief there for the Overmaster.
Yeah, Theo had a really good sequence with the hourglass, and they were able to get up to that shoal stirrings with the right units in void, and were able to stabilize. It's pretty important to be able to get to that stage of the game if Theo is going to want to win game 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. Reminder that these are number 1 and number 2 players in the world right now. You've got Apple Chips number 1 with 3 trophies and 21 points, and you've got the Overmaster with 0 trophies but 15 points. So the Overmaster getting their invite the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Apple Chips on the play again for game 3. No 1-drop, no 2-drop. Well, I guess they got the relay point for their 2-drop, but they do have a Flash Fry, but then a Vulk and a Temple Raider is pretty good in hand. And here's a Gatekeeper off the top. That's not a bad one. I wonder if you want to go relay point, though, to have the Relic up for Vulk on turn 3.
Yeah, that makes sense. Darkwater Vines, though, is basically going to hold back Chips's board for a while on its own, as will, like a Vine Grafter. Especially while, Chips doesn't have Auto Tread, which is really good against these units.
Yeah, true.
Theo is going to be able to take advantage of this.
Yeah, the Overmaster getting in some 2 damage there. Here comes that Volk, though. So Volk, again, a 5/3 Endurance Overwhelm for 3. It has Entomb, and then you get to play a Relic. That the Relic, you can sacrifice it plus another Relic to bring Volk back, +2/+2. So if Volk dies, Apple Chips can sack their Relics, bring it back, make it a 7/5 Endurance Overwhelm. So pretty good unit that you can keep bringing back from the void every time it dies if you have Relics to toss away.
Yeah, absolutely. I assume, Theo, if they're going to get something from their market, it would be probably the express route, just because that would help them deal with folk permanently.
And there you go. That is the express route out of the market for Theo, just as you called it.
They did, however, put away the power, which means that they don't necessarily have enough power to cast the shoal stirrings. I think it'll be fine because they have the master cartographer to help with that, but it is a little bit risky.
Now, notably, this does have Overwhelm. However, the regen blocks all of the damage. So even though the Darkwater Vines is a 2-1 regen, it would deal the full amount. But this is a nice 2-for-1 here for Applechips. Playing that Flash Fry.
They're also going for the salvo. Yeah. Interesting. They want to get the overwhelm damage, I think. That makes sense.
Yep. Makes sense. You want to make sure you take out this Darkwater Vines for sure. So not exactly a 2-for-1. I guess it's more of a 2-for-2, but it's definitely a good trade for Applechips to basically clear Theo's board and get some value out of it. So nice turn there for Applechips.
Yep. Yeah, and now if Theo wants to remove the Volk with Express Route, it basically takes up their whole turn, which I think is a good tempo swing for Applechips if they can, get more onto the board and punish Theo for it. Looking at Applechips' hand currently, wow, Fort Smasher was a great draw. That was one of the better draws Chips could find.
My only problem with Fort Smasher is that the zoom art is like weirdly different than the unzoomed art, which you know me, I'm a stickler for these little things, but
oh, you're right. Yeah,
it's like the right arm is like weird.
Huh. Well, it's not the right arm. It's like the background.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like the right arm. It's weird because it's like zoomed up close, but like in a weird way.
Oh, yeah. It's like the weird like background. I guess you're right. It's just the background fills in, but it looks like an arm, which makes it weird.
It does. It does. Yeah. But what's easy to remember? It's easy to remember though that like when you see one of the arms, it's kind of got that like crimson like color to it, and then when you see the other arm in the full art, it's there's like a shadow over it because that's the way the unit, the Sentinel, is positioned, physically. So you can kind of tell that that's not necessarily the other arm because that would mean like it would be a pretty weird stance for the Sentinel to be taking.
Absolutely. All right, Applechips gonna fire off that edict, take care of one of the Overmaster's blockers, but they still had one, so gonna block with regen basically to block a Fort Smasher trigger here. But here comes Shoal Stirrings, and this is huge.
Oh, wow. All right.
6/12 deadly lifesteal, 8/8. Oof. Whenever it attacks, Mandrakes get flying, endurance, and overwhelm. That's going to be tough for Applechips to get through, and Theo's still at 15.
I don't want to call it now. But this is really
and that lifesteal
really strong.
That lifesteal is so huge. It's not. I mean, that's going to be such a big swing. Really tough.
They all have endurance. They just get to block too.
I mean,
which is
Chips doesn't really have a great answer for a 7 attack lifesteal endurance unit. Not really much Chips can do about that.
Yeah, they already used their Edict of Kodosh, so like,
yeah, and that's just gonna be it. So wow, the Overmaster coming back, winning games 2 and game 3 to take that first match over Applechips. Congratulations, Overmaster. That was quite impressive.